civilians or enemy fighters. Luttrell also didn't know that an American rescue operation had already been mounted and had gone terribly wrong. Both those stories when we come back. Some 36 hours after his 4-man Navy SEAL team was dropped into enemy territory in the mountains of northeastern Afghanistan, Marcus Luttrell says he was all alone. He didn't know that Special Operations Forces had attempted a rescue operation, but that mission had ended in tragedy when one of the choppers was blown up with 16 people on board. Luttrell was badly wounded. He'd been shot twice, several vertebrae were cracked, and he had shrapnel wounds in his legs. At least 2 of his SEAL teammates were dead. The third had been shot multiple times and was missing. Desperately thirsty, pursued by enemy fighters, Marcus Luttrell says he had just found some water to drink when he was surprised by several Afghan men who he at first thought were members of the Taliban.
The story will continue in a moment.
When I got to that waterfall and I got those 2 sips out of there, I was actually looking around thinking, this is a pretty good place to lay down and die.
You were ready to die?
I wasn't ready to die, I just knew I was dying.
That's when an Afghan man appeared. Luttrell later learned his name was Mohammed Gulab.
He came up over this rock ledge and started screaming at me, "American, American," and I swung around on him. I had my finger on the trigger, tension out of safety off. And he started walking at me, and he was like, "Okay, okay." And he lifted up his shirt to show me that he didn't have a weapon. And he was like, "Okay, okay, okay." I lowered my weapon, and I pulled a grenade and pulled a pin, and I was saying, I'll kill all of us.
You were prepared to blow yourself up along with everybody else?
Yes. I wasn't going to get taken.
Why do you think you didn't kill him?
I can't tell you. I don't know why.
Luckily for Luttrell, Mohammed Gulab, who lived in a nearby village, was not a member of the Taliban.
He gave me water, and then he rolled me over, and he had seen where I'd been shot, and I was bleeding real bad. 3 other guys plus him picked me up and started carrying me down to their village.
SEAL commanders didn't know what had happened to Marcus Luttrell and his 3 teammates. Petty Officer Danny Dietz was dead. Petty Officer Matt Axelson had been gravely wounded and was separated from Luttrell. Lieutenant Mike Murphy had been killed after making a satellite phone call for help. Retired Vice Admiral Joe McGuire told us how much he admires Murphy for making that call.
They're in a life and death situation. He's been shot. Matt's been shot. Danny's been shot. He finished the call, and at the end, he said, "We can really use your help." He said, "Well, help is on the way." Mike finished the call with, "Thank you."
Even though,
Thank you. Yeah, he went out there and he gave above and beyond to do that. Now,
and he knew going out on that rock.
He probably wouldn't have come back.
As a result of the call, 2 Chinook helicopters like these with Special Operations Forces on board raced to the mountainside where the 4 SEALs had been fighting. The Chinooks went in without the Apache gunships that usually provide cover.
It was the pilots and the task unit commander that made a conscious decision that, okay, we're going to press and we're going to get there because we have to make a difference. To me, when people ask what would you say would sum up, the greatest mistake in military operations, to me it's just simple 2 words: too late.
As portrayed in the new movie Lone Survivor, one of the Chinooks was hovering to offload Special Forces. That's when a rocket-propelled grenade was fired into it. All Special Operations Forces on board, 8 SEALs and 8 Army Night Stalkers were killed.
It hit hard, and we lost all souls on board.
Marcus Luttrell likely wouldn't have made it if it weren't for Mohammed Gulab. He ended up in his village for 4 days, being moved between different houses and even a cave to prevent him from being captured. He was finally rescued by U.S. forces who had been scouring the mountains.
They'd been looking for you?
Right, for as long as I'd been missing. So they were beat to hell.
What was that feeling when you saw the first American in the village?
Well, I was out of it pretty hard. My head was down, they were carrying me. I just remember lifting my head up barely, because he was screaming my name. He was like, "Marcus, is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah, right here, bro."
Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor, was finally going home. But returning to regular life in America hasn't been easy.
You've spent time with Marcus. What was it like for him coming home?
Rough. Very rough. Go! Action!
Pete Berg, who directed the movie Lone Survivor, first met Luttrell after he read his book. Berg was shocked by Luttrell's condition